So we are reading Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan. We are on chapter 5, page number 31 of the book and page number 40 of the PDF.
Sorry, page number 31 or 30?
31. Yeah, over here.
Observations by 20th century medical doctors. We can see from the preceding paragraphs that studies up to the 20th century were conducted to observe different characteristics of energy field and other objects since 1900. Many medical doctors have become interested in the phenomenon as well. In 1911, Dr. William Kilner, a medical doctor, reported on his studies of the human energy field as seen through colored screens and filters. He described having seen glowing mist around the whole body in 3 zones. A quarter-inch dark layer closest to the skin, surrounded by B, a more vaporous layer an inch wide, streaming perpendicularly from the body, and C, somewhat further out, a delicate exterior luminosity with indefinite contours about 6 inches across. Kilner found that the appearance of the aura, as he called it, differs considerably from subject to subject depending on age, sex, mental ability, and health. Certain diseases showed us patches or irregularities in the aura, which led Kilner to develop a system of diagnosis on the basis of the color texture, volume, and general appearance of the envelope. Some diseases he diagnosed in this way were liver infection, tumors, appendicitis, epilepsy, and psychological disturbances like hysteria.
So again, this is something that we can also see with the naked eye. In the Vastu and in the energy field program, we actually work with a lot with the auras. We talk about all the aura fields, all the colors of the aura, what each color means. And we show a lot of these pictures during that program as to how we were actually using it to discern a lot of things. Okay. Now in awareness, we've actually got 3 or 4 processes by which we can check the aura out. One is the Progen aura camera, which is discussed, all the pictures are discussed extensively in the Vastu and Energy Field program, which incidentally is happening on the 20th and 21st. We've dropped the prices for all excursion graduates. So as a promotion, you could say. So you could, all people who are graduates can actually join. If you're not a graduate, talk to Gargi, she'll do something for you. And then we've got the GDV, that's a gas discharge visualizer, which also takes a picture of the photograph. And what he talks about here, certain disease showed up as patches or irregularities in the aura. You can actually see it in that auric field. The GDV is taken using your fingers. So you put your finger in the equipment, all the 10 fingers, and then a reading comes out. It's amazing what can come out in that system. So, and then we've got the biofield imaging process, which also can take the auric field, and you can get these dark patches and all that, the light and all that. In the in the excursion workshop, we actually show pictures of the biofield imaging process, which can be done on real time and before and after the reball. So you can actually see the difference in the field. So naturally, when you have a diagnostic method which is non-invasive and you can see stuff in that, it becomes pretty nice to have that other kind of assessment of whether we have any issues or not.
In the mid-1900s, Dr. George Delavaux and Dr. Ruth Drown built new instruments to detect radiations from living tissues. He developed radionics, a system of detection, diagnosis, and healing from a distance, utilizing the human biological energy field. His most impressive works are photographs taken using the patient's hair as an antenna. These photographs showed internal formations of diseases in living tissue, such as tumors and cysts within the liver, tuberculosis of the lungs, and malignant brain tumors. Even a live old fetus was photographed in utero.
So again, this is something which is used in homeopathy also, because your hair is connected with you or is in resonance with you. You can actually treat the hair with homeopathic medicine and you get treated. All these things are extensively discussed in a book called Vibrational Medicine by Gaber. It's an amazing book which covers a lot of these theories and all these processes. Again, it's a very heavy book, so I don't know if you'll be able to read it in the book reading, but one step at a time. Okay, so also we have with awareness something called the life system, which also works on the basis of radionics. What was his name? So this guy who discovered the dark field microscope, with which you can actually see blood samples against a dark background, and you can actually do a lot of reading. And we used to take these blood samples before and after workshops and see the opening up of the blood and all that. So the dark field microscope is another way which you can check that. And the gentleman who discovered the dark field microscope actually developed this radionic principle also, where he could actually see the live cancer cells being burst due to frequencies. So over here he says very clearly, detect radiation from living tissue and utilize it for diagnosis. So it can be used in the life system for diagnosis as well as healing. Yes,
Bhaiya, could you give me the name of that book, Vibrational
Medicine.
By who is it? Medicine by?
I think it's Richard Geber, if I'm not mistaken. I'll send you a picture.
Okay. And Bhaiya, the one that you did, that aura of ours when we had done that program,
that is what? Biofield imaging.
That is biofield. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Wilhelm Reich, a psychiatrist and a colleague of Freud in the early part of the 20th century, became interested in a universal energy that he named orgone. He studied the relationship of disturbances of the organ flow in the human body to physical and psychological illness. Reich developed a psychotherapeutic modality in which Freudian analytic techniques for uncovering the unconscious are integrated with physical techniques for releasing blockages to the natural flow of the orgone energy in the body. By releasing these energy blocks, Reich could clear negative mental and emotional states.
So now again, this is something like what we are doing in the biofield imaging process. In the biofield tuning process. Okay, someone is annotating. Please don't annotate.
Yeah.
Okay, so so in the biofield tuning process, we are doing the same thing, where we are actually detecting where the blocks are in the energy field and clearing it. We've been having tremendous success in healing people of psychological factors. We have also started integrating biofield tuning with the biogeometry process, where we are using the BG28 pendulum to actually heal people. And at least one person, he was having vertigo attacks, and the vertigo attacks have literally stopped. So that is a great success that we are having, but it's the same process that he's saying over here, that we are using the energy field of the person to heal the person. Wherever the blocks are, we are able to start removing them.
In the period of the 1930s through the 1950s, Reich experimented with these energies using the latest electronic and medical instrumentation at that time. He observed this energy pulsating in the sky and around all organic and inanimate objects. He observed pulsations of orgone energy radiating from microorganisms and using a specially constructed high-powered microscope.
So again, this is again the dark field microscope. You can actually see the radiation. You can see the light pulsating from the objects. You can see this field around trees, etc. If you just defocus your eyes a little bit and you watch the tops of the trees, you'll find that the radiation is going on. This was something which was discussed in Celestine prophecy also, where they were, giving energy to the plants. And they had two patches of plants in the book. And in one patch, they were giving the energy regularly. The other patch, they were not giving the energy. And the growth and the texture of the plants where they were actually giving the energy was actually much higher. So in the same way, we can actually, focus our energy to expand growth, to create healing, to create equanimity and equilibrium.
Reich constructed a variety of physical apparatuses for the study of the orgone field. One was the accumulator, which was capable of concentrating organ energy and which he used to charge objects with this energy.
Okay, so now this is again something which is used in the healing practices. Everything impregnates, right? Now, if I touch this rubber, I am transferring some energy to the rubber. Now, with intent, I can transfer more to the rubber. Many times this was also used in healing because cotton has a way of accumulating energy in a nice way. So for healing, people used to charge cotton pads and then place it on wounds, etc. And it used to actually help in the healing, right? So you can charge an object with that healing energy. This is what he's saying over here, that accumulator. You're accumulating the energy that healing grows in something, and then you're using it.
He observed that a vacuum discharge tube would conduct a current of electricity at a potential considerably lower than its normal discharge potential after being charged for a long period of time in an accumulator. Further, he claimed to increase the nuclear decay of a radioisotope by placing it in an organ accumulator.
So again, the accumulator could create certain effects. Yes, Ashwin?
Yeah, Bhaiya, this thing that you were telling about charging and so many years back, there was this particular person, he charged some cotton and I used to ask me to put it inside my nose to regulate the breathing. Is that also like, what effect does that have?
So that's it. Now that depends on what the person is charging that cotton piece with.
Okay.
So what is the intent behind that charging? And of course, if whatever is being charged, whatever the intent is being put into that cotton piece, if it is having an uplifting effect on you, it can regulate your breath. We've seen this happening. Anything that lifts you up, which is removing the stress from your system, can lift you up. There's no doubt in that. So you can charge anything actually, but cotton, I've read in certain places that cotton has a nice way of accumulating. Of course, we use these stickers and all that. Again, we are going to be teaching how to make the stickers in the second day. And these stickers that we make are very, very powerful. When my parents get ill or someone gets ill, we can even put the sticker on the body, and it actually helps in regulating the body and bringing the body into homeostasis by just releasing the stress from the system. Like that, we can use those stickers to put it around any house also and actually rectify the field of the house without breaking and making. So again, everything accumulates energy. Now, also when we make the stickers, what is your intent when you're making stickers also makes a very big difference. What is the intent when you're sticking the sticker makes a difference, right? So like that, anything that you hold in your hand will impregnate. It will get the energy or the intent of the person who's holding it, and it will be retained for some time unless you clear it. Okay, that's why clearing of things is very important. Let us say you are wearing these rings, etc. also. they also accumulate energy and they need to be rectified. We'll be talking about this also in the Vastu and Energy Field program. So the point is that you need to make yourself aware that what is impregnated in a way that is uplifting for us and what is impregnated in a way which is depleting for us. Because that field is something that you're carrying around if you're going to carry that object or that thing with you all the time. Okay, so this is what he's saying, that it can enhance the energy flow, it can restrict the energy flow also. As far as cotton is concerned, I think I've shared this example previously. When I'd gone for a energy field and Vastu rectification process to one house, we were checking the almirahs from outside, and I got a depleting flea coming from one almirah, and it ultimately we zoned down to one shirt, one cotton shirt. So I told her that, okay, that girl over there, who gave you this shirt? She said, one of my friends gave it to me. I said that after she gave you this shirt, your relationship with that person actually degraded, it degenerated. And she said, first she said that, how is it possible? I've got so many more shirts but given to me by the same friend in that same almirah. I said, after she gave you this shirt, your relationship degenerated because that shirt was impregnated with thoughts which were not congenial for this girl, and they were still there in that shirt. And in spite of that shirt being washed a number of times, but the effect of that thought while giving the shirt was still in the shirt. So over here, what is he saying? That things accumulate, things get impregnated. So we need to be careful about what are we getting into our system, because it's going to affect us.
Great. Thank you so much.
He observed that a vacuum discharge tube would conduct a current of electricity at a potential considerably lower than its normal discharge potential after being charged for a long period of time in an accumulator. Further, he claimed to increase the nuclear decay rate of a radioisotope by placing it in an argon accumulator.
So basically what the argon accumulator will do is that it will regulate. Okay, it will cause entropy to reduce. And in the process of entropy reducing, various effects can start taking place.
Dr. Lawrence Bendit and Phoebe Bendit made extensive observations of the HEF in the 1930s and related these fields to health, healing, and soul development.
So higher energy fields, okay, HEF.
Their work stresses on the importance of a knowledge and understanding of the power, etheric formative forces which are the foundations of health and healing in the body.
So powerful etheric forces, okay. So what does he mean over here? And we are going to come to that later, where it is very clear that the etheric field or the energy field is formed before the physical. So the physical grows into the etheric field. Otherwise, when we are conceived, there is just one ovum and one sperm, and there is a fusion between them. So one cell is created. And then that cell multiplies into 2 cells. Then that cell multiplies into 4 cells and so on and so forth, right? But there is no difference between the cell in my skin and the cell in my heart. So how do the cells in my heart know what to do and the cell in my skin knows what to do? It is in the blueprint of the etheric field. So he says the powerful etheric formative forces, which are the foundation of health and healing in the body. So if you are sick, it will first come in the etheric field and then it will manifest in the physical body. So this is the basis of most of the healing processes which use healing in the energy fields, like pranic healing, Reiki, biofield tuning, vibrational medicine. Everything is working with the biofield. It is working with the energy field around the body system.
More recently, Dr. Shafika Karagula has correlated visual observations made by sensitives to physical disorder. For instance, a clairvoyant named Diane was able to observe the energy patterns of ill people and to describe very accurately what the medical problems were.
So again, if you can see the aura, you can sense the aura, you can actually know whatever the issues that that person is having. So we used to do this. We can do this with the Lecker antenna also. Every organ in our body has its own frequency. So we can do a full medical diagnosis of what is happening in the body. But we must understand one thing, that the body has a beautiful mechanism of self-regulation, of self-healing, right? So many times what is coming up in the etheric field can get healed and rectified because of the processes which are inbuilt into the system. So actually we stopped doing it after some time because people started reaching the hospital. But it is absolutely possible. And now we've started doing it online in various cases where we actually test each organ and we can actually send healing frequencies, biogeometry, biosignatures and all that stuff, which actually enhances the ability of the body to heal.
These observations of the etheric body reveal a vital energy body or field which forms a matrix which interpenetrates the dense physical body like a sparkling web of light beams. This energetic matrix is the basic pattern upon which the physical matter of the tissue is shaped and anchored.
Okay. So what does this mean? Again, this is something I already explained, where the etheric field is created first, and then the physical body manifests using that as a blueprint. Okay. And the etheric field interpenetrates the body system. The body is a subset of the etheric field.
The tissues exist as such only because of this vital field behind them.
So if the vital field wasn't there, then the tissues would not be existing.
Dr. Caragula also correlated chakra disturbance with illness. For example, the sensitive Diane described the chakra at the throat of a patient as being overactive, red, and dull gray in color. When Diane looked at the thyroid itself, it was too spongy and soft in texture. The right side of the thyroid was not functioning as well as the left. This patient was diagnosed through normal medical techniques as having Graves' disease, which caused enlarged thyroid, the right being the larger lobe.
So again, she was able to see what was wrong in the physical body without instrumentation. And instrumentation can do the same thing. So if we can have more ways of discerning what is going wrong in our body system, it becomes easier for us to actually create balance within the system.
Dr. Dora Kunz, president of the American section of the Theosophical Society, has worked for many years with the medical profession and in healing. She has observed in the spiritual aspects of the healing arts that when the vital field is healthy, there is within it a natural autonomous rhythm, and that each organ in the body has its corresponding energetic rhythm in the etheric field.
So everything is vibrating, right? Again, this is something we talk about in the Vastu and Energy Field program a lot, where everything is vibrating and everything has a frequency of vibration. If I said that we can check the organs, each and every organ in the body, it is because each organ has a frequency, and we can set the Lecker antenna at that particular frequency which is connected with that organ and figure out whether the organ is functioning correctly or not, right? And we can go deeper. If the organ is not functioning correctly, then is it a physical problem? Is it a vital problem? That is a functional problem. Is it caused by mental stress or is it caused by external factors, right? We can actually discern that. Now, if the jhamela is going on, if the jhamela is going on in the physical part of the or it's coming from outside. There's a vibrational frequency which is coming from outside, which is creating a problem in that organ, and you are treating it from the physical aspect, it is not going to get rectified. Okay, so it becomes very important to be able to discern where is the problem coming from, at what state of consciousness, what level, and at what basis, whether it's mental, vital, physical, or spiritual or external factor, which is creating the problem for us. Okay, once we can discern that, that is when we will be able to actually sort out the problem. Otherwise, we can keep taking medication for the physical aspect, but the problem is coming from elsewhere. For example, if we have the stomach, right? Now, there may be a hole in the stomach, which is a physical problem. There may be an issue that the acids are not getting secreted at the right time. Okay. Maybe I'm having tremendous amount of mental stress, and that's why the stomach is getting affected. Or something in my environment is creating a problem for my stomach because it's vibrating at the same frequency as my stomach, right? So unless we catch where the problem is coming from, we cannot sort out the problem, or it'll take too much of time to sort it out. So this is what he's saying. Each organ in the body has a corresponding energetic rhythm in the etheric field. So if the rhythm is off, if the tuning of the organ is off, you're going to have a problem in that particular organ.
Between the spheres of the various organs, the different rhythms interact as if a transfer function were occurring. When the body is whole and healthy, these rhythms transfer easily from organ to organ.
So again, this is like an orchestra, right? Each organ in our body is a musical instrument which is playing in the orchestra. Now, if any one of the instruments in an orchestra is not playing as per the required tune, it will mess up the entire orchestra. So in the same way, if our body, each organ needs to function properly for the body to be in homeostasis, in balance, in rhythm, in tune, right? So when the rhythm is good, they will affect each other in a nice manner. Okay, the body will function properly. Yes, Rituji?
Bhaiya, you earlier you said that each organ is vibrating at its own frequency.
Correct.
That means, so let's take the stomach. If the stomach, in everybody, the stomach will vibrate at the same frequency for
Generally
everybody?
speaking, we can test the stomach. That's how we do it with the Lecker antenna.
Okay.
Even in the life system, the stomach has a particular frequency, and then there are many sub-frequencies also. Okay, so we can test. And we can use mudras to test. Whatever's telling you now. So like if I do this, this is the mental zone. This is the vital zone. This is the physical, and this is the etheric, or the external, the spiritual or the external. So depending on that, using the mudras, we can also figure out where the problem is coming from, and then see what will harmonize it by creating another vibratory effect in the body system. So it's fantastic the way it works.
Thank you.
However, with pathology, the rhythms as well as the energy levels are changed. For example, the residue of a surgical appendectomy can be perceived in the field.
So again, whenever we have a surgery, right, it creates a cut in the physical body, and it creates a cut in the etheric body also. Now, many times what happens is that the physical wound is healed, but the energetic wound or the etheric wound is not healed. So you keep leaking energy from there. And there are processes by which you can actually seal that etheric wound also. So there is something called scar tissue which takes place. You know, when you have a cut, there's a scarring of the tissue. And that scarring of the tissue, wherever it is there, it doesn't allow the energy flow properly, because even blood and nutrients, etc., do not flow properly through the scar tissue. Again, there are methods and processes by which you can reduce or remove the scar tissue in your body system, and of course, heal the etheric body also.
The physical tissues that are now adjacent to each other have an altered energy transfer function from the one that was previously modulated by the appendix. In physics, this is called impedance, matching or mismatching. Each adjacent tissue is impedance matched, which means the energy can easily flow through all the tissue. Surgery or illness changes the impedance matching so that the energy is to some degree dissipated rather than transferred.
So again, what is it vibrating at? What is the field field effect which is there? Whether the connection is not there. If you see sound systems, right, in the speakers, there is something when you put the wire in, it'll say impedance over there. So what is the transfer rate of the signal which will work the particular speaker? Like that. Each organ has its own setting and it's connected with the organ in the next, which is next to it, right? If the impedance is the vibratory frequency of one organ is affected, then naturally the transfer of energy to the other organ starts to get affected.
Dr. John Pirkos has developed a system of diagnosis and treatment of psychological disorders based on visual and pendulum-derived observations of the HEF. The information from his observations of the energy bodies is combined with body psychotherapeutic methods developed in bioenergetics and with conceptual work developed by Eva Pirkos. This process, called core energetics, is a unified process of inner healing which concentrates working through the defenses of the ego and personality to unblock energies of the body. Core energetics seeks to balance all the bodies, physical, etheric, emotional, mental, and spiritual, to effect a harmonious healing of the whole person.
So again, core energetics is what? They are working with frequencies, they're working with vibrations, with basically intent to heal and coordinate the functioning of the body system at all levels, right? Which is physical, mental, emotional, as well as spiritual, to balance it so that they start working in coordination with each other.
I conclude from the above and other work that light emissions from the human body are closely related to health. I propose that it is very important to find a way to quantify these light emissions with reliable, standardized light measuring instrumentation to make this information available to the medical profession for clinical diagnosis and the energy itself useful for treatment.
Okay, so what does this mean? That if we have the diagnostic tools using methods of testing the energetic field, it can be used in healing. However, what has happened is that the normal medical system does not pay attention to this because there is no money to be made out of it, right? It's not an expensive process. It's not an invasive process. So the medical system wants to make money. It is a money making. The intent is to make money. So if something which is working, which is very simple and does not make money or require expenditure, is not something that the normal medical fraternity will vibe with. Okay, so that's why it has not become very popular in most medical systems. Having said that, the GDV is used a lot in medical diagnosis in Russia, but in America, this was not been, it's always the FDA has kept it off track, right? So you have to be very careful when you're talking about what you're doing. A person who's using these methods cannot even say that I'm doing a diagnosis. You can say that I am measuring stress, but you cannot say that I'm doing a diagnosis. So all those wordings and all that stuff starts to come. This is unfortunate that these things should have become vogue. It should have become normal and taught to various people so that they could use it in their lives. But this stuff is actually kept under the carpet in most cases.
I conclude from the above and other My colleagues and I have conducted a number of experiments to measure the HEF. In one, Dr. Richard Doblin, Dr. John Piracos, and I measured the light level at a wavelength of around 350 nanometers in a dark room before, during, and after individuals were there.
So what does this mean? That it was a dark room, and then people entered the room and the light in the room changed. So what does this imply? That we are constantly radiating light, okay? And this light is actually radiated in basically as light packets, which is called light photons. We are constantly radiating light photons from our system.
Results show a slight increase of light in the dark room when people are in it. In one case, the light level actually decreased. Someone who was very exhausted and full of despair was in the dark room.
So again, when we are alive, we are vibrant, we emit an adequate amount of light. When we are in despair, we do not emit that light. Okay. Now, this also relates to entropy. If we start releasing excess light, then that also can become depleting for us. So either we don't have the light to transmit, then that is bad. If we are transmitting too much of light, that also is bad. So in this case, the person was in despair, he was exhausted. So he had no light to emit, right? So that he started sucking the light from the environment. All of us have experienced this, that when you're in the company of certain people, you feel depleted. When you go to certain places, you feel depleted. When you meet certain people, you feel energized. And when you go to certain places, you feel energized, right? So what is that? That energy which is there in the place or in the person is either depleting you or uplifting you. So becoming observant of all these things becomes very important. Then, of course, you got the tools in the excursion workshop, in the heart math process, in the Vastu programs. We are teaching you tools which you can use to actually enhance your energy field and regulate it in the way that is most congenial to you. And that is what we call the awareness toolbox. You can use so many tools to actually regulate yourself.
In another experiment done with the United Nations Parapsychology Club, we were able to show part of the auric field on black and white television with the use of a device called a colorizer. This device enables one to amplify greatly light intensity variations close to the body. In another experiment conducted at Drexel University with Dr. William Edson and Karen Gestler, a sensitive who worked with Dr. Ryan at Duke University for many years, in which we succeeded in affecting either bending or attenuating to a small 2 milliwatt laser beam with auric energy. All these experiments helped support the evidence for the existence of the energy fields, but were not conclusive. Results were shown nationally on NBC television, but further research was not conducted because of lack of funding.
So again, with the energy, you can bend light, you can affect other things at a distance with the intent, with the energy field. Now, the energy field has been measured actually by the Institute of Heart Math. The energy field being emitted from the heart has been measured approximately 1 kilometer away. Now, that is dependent on the sensitivity of the equipment. There is no reason why the energy field would not extend even further, right? Now, the last line over here, he says, but further research was not conducted because of lack of funding. So these things actually you don't charge much. So there is no funding available for this research. Okay. Nikolai Tesla also was actually, his lab was blown up because of all that he was doing in this field of energy fields. He had developed a method of grabbing energy from the air, but the power companies did not want that. It was like, we had one kind of an equipment, a small equipment on the roof of the house, and the whole house got powered, sucking energy from the atmosphere, which is absolutely possible. But his lab was burned. So anything that doesn't make money, or people who have vested interest, they actually land up creating problems for other people. Okay, but that is a world we live in, so we don't have an option.
In Japan, Hiroshi Motoyama has been able to measure low light levels coming from people who have practiced yoga for many years. He did this work in a dark room using a low light level movie camera.
So again, people who do yoga, they will radiate a nice field.
Dr. Zheng Rongliang of Langzhou University in the People's Republic of China measured energy called qi or qi radiated from the human body by using a biological detector made from a leaf vein connected to a photoquantum device, a low light measuring device. He studied the low energy field emanations of a Qigong master. Qigong is an ancient Chinese form of health exercise and the energy field emanations of a clairvoyant.
Okay, so again, when you are practicing Qigong, you're working with your energy field. And anyone who's doing that will be self-regulating. The energy field will grow big. So it becomes easier to detect using other equipment.
Results of his studies show that the detection system responds to the radiation in the form of a pulse. The pulse emanating from the hand of the Qigong master is much different than that of the clairvoyant.
So again, pulsating, everything is pulsating. Everything has a frequency of vibration, right? That vibration is what he was detecting, the pulse.
At Shanghai Atomic Nuclear Institute of Academia, Sinica, it was shown that some vital force emanations from Qigong masters seem to have a very low frequency sound wave that appears as a low frequency fluctuating carrier wave. In some cases, Qi was also detected as a microparticle flow. The size of these particles was about 60 microns in diameter, and they had a velocity of about 20 to 50 centimeters per second, or 8 to 20 inches per second.
So again, light can be a wave and a particle at the same time. Okay, so it could be a frequency and it could be a particle. So over here they are saying that the key which was radiating from that master had a particle size, which they have measured over here. And of course, a low frequency standing wave can be extremely therapeutic and healing. When we look at the brainwave patterns, then when we go into something called delta sleep, which is vibrating from 0 to 4 hertz, our body heals and repairs itself. So when there is a low frequency carrier standing wave being emitted, it can be a very powerful healing mechanism for us.
Some years ago, a group of Soviet scientists from the Bioinformation Institute of A.S. Popov announced the discovery that living organisms emit energy vibrations at a frequency between 300 and 2000 nanometers. They called this energy the biofield or bioplasma.
So again, we are constantly talking about biofield or bioplasma. So there is this radiation which is coming around all of us.
They found that persons capable of successful bioenergy transfer have a much wider and stronger biofield.
So again, if you are transferring energy, you can only transfer it if you have it, right? So naturally, healers will have a bigger field because they can use to transfer it. People of influence normally will have a bigger biofield. Okay. If you have a depleted biofield, then it becomes difficult to become a person of influence.
These findings have been confirmed at the Medical Sciences Academy in Moscow and are supported by the research in Great Britain, the Netherlands, Germany, and Poland. The most exciting study I have seen on the human aura was done by Dr. Valerie Hunt and others at UCLA. In a study of the effects of rolling on the body and psyche, rolfing on the body and psyche, a study of structural neuromuscular energy field and emotional approaches. She recorded the frequency of low millivoltage signals from the body during a series of rolfing sessions. To make these recordings, she used elementary electrodes made of silver chloride placed on the skin. Simultaneously, with the recording of the electronic signals, Reverend Rosalind Bruyere of the Healing Light Center, Glendale, California, observed the auras of both the rolfer and the person being rolfed. Her comments were recorded on the same tape recorder as the electronic data. She gave a running report of the color, size, and the energy movements of the chakras and auric clouds involved.
So again, rolfing is a healing method, and if a person is rolfing, then automatically the healing starts to happen. Okay, so and this was recorded.
The scientists then mathematically analyzed the wave patterns recorded by a Fourier analysis and sonogram frequency analysis. Both revealed remarkable results. Consistent waveforms and frequencies correlated specifically with colors, Reverend Breuer reported. In other words, when Reverend Breuer observed blue in the aura at any specific location, the electronic measurements would always show the characteristic blue waveform and frequency in the same locations. Dr. Hunt repeated the same experiment with 7 other aura readers. They saw auric colors that correlated with the same frequency or wave patterns. In February 1988, results of research in progress show the following color frequency correlations.
So again, each color has its own frequency, right? Now, if the clairvoyant is seeing that particular color and that same frequency corresponding to that color is being recorded on the tape, that actually proved that what the auric reader was actually saying was the truth. They were not mincing their words.
These frequency bands, except for the extra bands at blue and violet, are in reverse order of rainbow color sequence. The frequencies measured are a signature of the instrumentation as well as the energy being measured.
Okay, so it's not there in the PDF, but blue is from 250 to 275 hertz plus 1200 hertz. Green is 250 to 475 hertz. Yellow is 500 to 700 hertz. Orange is 550 to 1050 hertz. Red is 1000 to 1200 hertz. Violet is 1000 to 1200 to 2000 hertz. White is 1100 to 2000 hertz. So again, every color has its own frequency of vibration.
Dr. Hunt says, throughout the centuries in which sensitives have seen and described the auric emissions, this is the first objective electronic evidence of frequency, amplitude, and time, which validates their subjective observation of color discharge.
So again, it's been empirically proved. So what has been ethically been seen by people who are going into higher states of consciousness, now slowly science is catching up.
The fact that the color frequencies discovered here do not duplicate those of light or pigment does not negate the finding. When we realize that what we see as colors are frequencies picked up by the eye, differentiated and allotted a word symbol, and there is nothing to indicate that the eye and the brain processing centers interpret color only in high frequencies.
So again, every color has a frequency. Our eyes are actually detecting the frequency and providing an image or a color to that particular frequency.
The ultimate criterion for the experience of color is the visual interpretation. However, with finer instruments, improved recording, and data reduction techniques, these data, now primarily up to 1500 Hertz, may very readily contain much higher frequencies.
So there is something called harmonics, right? And harmonics is based on the principle of resonance. So resonance and harmonics go together. So if I have a wavelength of 4 centimeters, let's say, there will be a resonance with exact half as well as resonance with double. And because the half is there, it will have a resonance in 6 also. So there'll be a resonance between 2, 4, 6, and 8, right? So the resonant frequencies or the harmonics of a particular frequency can be worked out like that.
Dr. Hunt also stated that chakras frequently carried the colors stated in the metaphysical literature. That is, Kundalini red, hypogastric orange, spleen yellow, heart green, throat blue, third eye violet, and crown white.
So again, the instruments are detecting the colors, and what has been said in the literature of our spiritual things have, what it makes it is that yes, the chakras are vibrating at these colors, which they talk about in the spiritual texts.
Activity in certain chakras seem to trigger increased activities in another. The heart chakra was consistently the most active. Subjects had many emotional experiences, images, and memory recalls connected with the different body areas Rolfed. These findings give credence to the belief that that memory of experiences is stored in body tissue.
So there's a book, The Body Holds Score. So any experience that you have is stored in the tissue of the body. So whenever you have these knots, etc., in your body, and you massage it out, you're actually releasing that stress which is accumulated in the body system. That's why it's a very nice thing to actually have massages done. And in the olden days, that's why you used to massage, and especially young children. Massaging a young child was considered to be very, very good.
For example, when someone's legs are being rolfed, he may very well relive early childhood experiences of potty training. He will not only remember the experience, but emotionally relive it.
So again, when you're touching a part which contains an emotion and you release it, you will remember that particular memory. This is something that happens in biofield tuning also, where stuff that happened to you previously constantly shows up, and then we remove it or we rectify it, right? And mainly during biofield tuning, traumatic or stuff which is depleting to you shows up so that they can be cleared up. So over here, the same thing, while a rolfing is going on, you remember that stuff which is depleting for you, and then you can release it and transcend it.
Many times, parents try to potty train a child before the child's body has made the brain muscle connections to actually control the sphincter muscles that regulates elimination. Since the child cannot physiologically control the sphincter, he will compensate by squeezing the thigh muscles. This puts a great deal of stress and strain on the body. Many times, this strain is held habitually throughout life or until deep body work like rolfing or bioenergetics is done.
So again, you remember in your childhood what happened to you, you actually retain it in your muscle, you retain it in your energy field, you retain it in your body also, right? And then when things are stuck in your body system, we need to release it. Otherwise, at some point in time, it will end up creating a problem for you.
Then, when the muscle tension and strain is released, so is the memory. Another example of holding memory tension is the tight shoulders that many of us live with. This comes from holding fear or anxiety in the shoulders.
So again, this is very important, right? When you massage, right, and you release that energy, then that issue gets sorted out. And most of us, if you see over here on the shoulder, this muscle at the neck area, just below the neck, is always tight. So we carry a lot of weight, we carry a lot of guilt, we carry a lot of helplessness. We carry a burden on our shoulders. Whenever you're lifting a burden, you put it on your shoulder. So this happens a lot in biofield tuning also. When the energy field gets stuck in the shoulder level, that means that there are issues. We are carrying a weight. It doesn't make sense to carry a weight. We have to release it. 9 out of 10 times I found the weight is only psychological or mental. A change in perspective itself will sort out the issue and release the problem that you're carrying with you.
You might ask yourself, what is it that you are afraid you will not be able to accomplish? Or what do you think will happen if you don't succeed?
So again, it's a mental issue, right?
Conclusion. If we define the human energy field as all fields or emanations from the human body, we can see that many well-known components of the HEF have been measured in the laboratory. These are the electrostatic, magnetic, electromagnetic, sonic, thermal, and visual components of the HEF. All these measurements are consistent with normal physiological processes of the body and go beyond them to provide a vehicle for psychosomatic functioning. Dr. Hunt's measurements show definite frequencies for definite colors of the aura. These frequencies may have higher overtones that were not recorded due to the limitations of the laboratory equipment involved. Measurements listed above also show the HEF to be particulate in nature and have a fluid-like motion like air or water currents. These particles are very tiny, even subatomic according to some investigations. When charged minute particles move together in clouds, they are usually called plasmas or physicists.
So again, you have 3 states of matter that we know. You've got the physical, the liquid, the solid, liquid, and gas. The 4th state of matter is called plasma, which is what she is talking about.
Plasmas follow certain physical laws that lead physicists to consider them to be a state between energy and matter. Many of the properties of the HEF measured in the laboratory suggest a 5th state of matter, which some scientists call bioplasma. These studies show that the ordinary model of the body, consisting of systems like the digestive system, is insufficient. An additional model based on the concept of an organizing energy field needs to be developed. The model of a complicated electromagnetic field does not completely serve this purpose. Many of the psychic phenomena associated with the HEF, such as precognition or being aware of past life information, cannot be explained with an EMF model.
So the electromagnetic field is there, right? But the ability to read it is something that is beyond science at the moment. So when we are going into the field, even with biofield tuning, suddenly we'll say, okay, at the age of 4, you had a fight with a friend of yours, and there is energy stuck over here relating to that. Or there was a big stress in your life because it seems as if you were shifting your house, you were shifting your place. Now, there is no way for the biofield tuner to know that, but the energy is talking, right? The energy has retained that information, which created a stress in your system, and it's hanging in your field. Now you need to remove it to bring that energy which is stuck there back into the system. So like that, energy which is read, or it cannot be read by normal instrumentation, you have to go into higher states of consciousness or have clairvoyance or clairaudits, etc., to be able to discern that field.
According to Dr. Hunt, the body can be viewed from a quantum concept of energy stemming from the atomic cellular nature of the functioning body, which cuts across all tissues and systems. She suggests that the holographic view of the HEF would be a good one. The hologram concept emerging in physics and brain research appears to provide a truly unifying cosmic view of reality, which demands reinterpretation of all biological findings on another plane. Marilyn Ferguson declared in Brain Mind Bulletin that the holistic model has been described as the emerging paradigm, an integral theory that would catch all the wonderful wildlife of science and spirit. Here at last is a theory that marries biology to physics in an open system.
So basically what is happening is that biology and physics are considered two opposite ends of the science, right? But when you look at the human energy field, they start to integrate. So these are questions that you all can think about and review. Shipriya.
The universal energy field. When
No, 1 second. Chapter 5 review. We'll stop here today. Go back. Yeah. So how has the human energy field been measured? We spoke about it. There are various methods of measuring. When did the human beings first learn about this auric phenomena? Of course, it's a question. They are saying in 1911, but there was a gentleman called Crillian. Okay, he developed the Crillian photography, which also actually photographed this human energy field. Okay, and the auric field, when was it observed? What was the phenomena of the human energy field going beyond what science knows today? Absolutely. There's a very little known about the human energy field, and we are still learning and constantly growing all the time. From the point of view of theoretical and experimental science today, what is a good model to account for the human energy phenomena? Of course, we've got many methods of doing it. Right. I think we can stop here today. Anyone?